solving proportions. So a proportion is basically an equation, right? And if it's an equation, it needs to have an equal sign. And it states that two ratios are equal. Okay, so we've got one ratio on each side. All right. We could say, let's come up with a couple ratios. Maybe I can mow 3 lawns in 4 hours. Okay, 3 lawns in 4 hours. All right, and maybe I worked a whole week mowing lawns this summer, and I mowed 15 lawns. Okay, and it took me 20 hours. All right, you might already be able to see that these are equal, but sometimes it's harder to tell, and that's why we have a system called cross products. Okay, and that is a way to determine if these two ratios are equal. Okay, and if they are equal, we call them proportional. All right, so we're going to do some cross products. All right, we're going to use our cross products to identify if the proportion is proportional. Okay, if the proportion is true or if the equation is true. So here I've got a proportion, and I'm going to say that in my class I have 7 girls and 5 boys. Okay, and in the whole school there are 56 girls and 40 boys. Well, maybe not the whole school, say the 8th grade. Okay, and I want to know if I have a equal sampling, right? So if my 7 girls and 5 boys represent the whole group evenly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use cross products. And cross products basically says that you're going to take the denominators and multiply it by the numerators across the equal sign. Okay, and you should always be multiplying by a different unit. Remember, ratios have to have a different unit in the numerator from the denominator. You should always be multiplying by a different unit across that equal sign. Okay, so if I ended up multiplying boys times boys, that wouldn't work. Okay, that wouldn't give me a good cross product, and I'd have to check that my ratios are set up the same. Okay, in a proportion, you should always have your units on the top be the same and your units on the bottom be the same. Okay, so get rid of those. For your cross product, you're going to be multiplying the numbers across the equal sign, and the reason this will work to figure out what your if your proportion is equal is because if I simplify this ratio, okay, I can see that 56 and 40 are both divisible by 8. So this one is basically 7 times 8, and this is 7, oops, not 7, 5 times 8, right? What I'm basically coming up with, if I do my cross products, and I have 40 times 7 is equal to 5 times 56. Well, if I look back to where I've already factored those, this is basically 7 times 5 times 8, and this one is 5 times 56, which is 7 times 8, 5 times 7 times 8, and you can see that I have the same problems here, right? I have the same numbers that I'm multiplying together. So these are going to be equal. Okay? That's basically what you are looking for with your cross products. Okay? But sometimes it's a lot easier than just simplifying one of your ratios. If you can easily simplify one of your ratios, you can just look at that and say, okay, yeah, that's 7 times 8, and that's 5 times 8, and then 7, 5, 7, 5. Yeah, that would be an equal proportion. That's fine as well, but doing the cross products will often be a quicker and easier way. Okay, so when you're doing this, you're going to multiply the denominator of each ratio by the numerator of the other ratio. Okay, and then if the products are equal, the ratios are proportional. If they're not, then the ratios are not proportional. So here's a couple examples. Let's go through and do these. I'm going to grab my calculator. Okay, so for steps, I want to go through and I want to show that I'm taking the cross product. Okay, and I'm doing 246 times 23 and 41 times 138. Okay. 246 times 23, 5,658. Okay, remember that number. And then 138 times 41, 5,658. So these are proportional, okay, because their cross products were equal. All right, let's look at another one. 3/8 is that proportional to 16/31? Well, let's look at it. Let's do our cross product. Okay. So 3 times 31, 93, and 8 times 16, 128. So no, these are not proportional. That is not a proportional, or those two ratios are not proportional. All right, let's do one more. Okay. Do my cross products. 2 times 91 is equal to 182. 7 times 26, 182. All right, so this is another one that is proportional. Okay, so cross products is really just a quicker way to make sure that your ratios are proportional. If you can easily factor and see that they are proportional, that's fine. But cross products will often be a more efficient way of doing it.